time.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Slam the door by accident.
The Brookhaven Borough Council meeting will now come to order. Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone would please remain standing for just a moment as we offer a moment of silence for our recently deceased residents. Helen Susko, John Kubek, Nicholas Ryan Steele, Daniel Courier Sr., Frank Cresta, Robert Montella Sr., who just passed away this morning, and for our 41st president, President Bush and his family. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the council meeting this evening. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the mayor, Mayor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the last council meeting, I'm sure all council and some people in the audience remember that the Brookhaven Police Department started a new police chaplain program, not only for the police department, but for the fire department also, and for any council member or anybody in the community that could needs a little bit of help, or just some guidance from time to time. At that time, we swore in Reverend Ben Ganir, and we also swore in David Schlatt to be the first two police chaplains. We have in the audience this evening Reverend James Skulski, who's going to be one of our police chaplains also, and I would like to ask him to come forward so we can swear him in. Mr. President, you want to come down with me? Sure, absolutely. Mr. Skulski, who would you like to hold Bible for you?
Mrs. Volunteer.
Volunteer. You hold the Bible. You're going to raise your right hand. And you're going to Okay, you go repeat it. If I say aye, you state your name. I,
James Skulski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
defend the Constitution of the United States
defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
both foreign and domestic.
both foreign and domestic.
And I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as chaplain of the Brookhaven Police Department
as chaplain of the Brookhaven Police Department
under the appointment of the department
under the appointment of the department
according to the laws of Brookhaven Borough
according to the laws of Brookhaven Borough
to the best of my skills and ability.
to the best of my skills and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, James.
Okay. Nice. Good job, Jim. Congratulations.
Congratulations again, Jim.
Congratulations, Jim.
When I saw Jim's wife trying to get him to raise the wrong hand, it reminded me of the day I got married. I kept trying to give my wife the left hand, and she kept grabbing my right. Finally, I just gave in and let her put it on.
By the way, you might want his number. I have his number on speed dial because I need it quite often.
Congratulations, Jim. Okay, what I want to do tonight when I take public discussion, this worked out real well at the workshop, is I asked you if you have budget questions to hold them, because once I go through all the committee reports, we're going to come back to Janice. I'll put her on the floor to do the budget, and I kind of want those questions to kind of line up when we're actually doing the budget, and that worked out real well. Keep everybody in mind that the meeting tonight is being recorded. You have 5 minutes on the floor. Does anybody, now I'm just going to ask you to hold your budget questions and we'll get to that, I promise. But does anybody else have any other questions for the council?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You probably think the scourge is here again. But anyway, Laird Shively of 421 Sir Galahad Drive, Brookhaven, PA. First question I have...
Step back from the mic a little bit.
Step back? Okay. Okay? We okay now?
Yeah.
First question I have to ask, is there any way that we are going to preserve that woodland on the Chester Water Authority property, and so that it comes into the possession of the borough of Brookhaven? That is one of my major concerns. environmentally speaking. I know, I am somewhat of an environmental nut, but at the same time, I think is of significance. So, anybody want to comment?
Well, you know where I stand on it, so.
I'm sorry?
I said, you know where I stand on it. I'd be.
I know where you
I just
stand,
don't know how
right.
to go about making it happen.
Personally, I think the CWA, Chester Water Authority, owes the borough of Brookhaven the forfeiture of that property, and they deserve, and we deserve, as citizens of Brookhaven, to have that deeded over to us, because they certainly did not walk away empty-handed after the, shall we say, the sale of the woodland and the construction of the existing shopping center that we have nowadays. And make no mistake about it, I really, in retrospect, I was opposed to the shopping center, but I myself nowadays have reconciled myself to it, and I have taken many advantage of the existing shopping center, so I cannot say that it was entirely a bad idea. As for the tax question, I won't go there, because I know I should not at this time. So,
Well, I'll speak up. I mean, I don't know if anybody else recalls, and hopefully we all do, and I'll ask the engineer's help also if she would. I believe we were supposed to walk that property. Well, we wanted the land for passive recreation. Am I correct, everyone?
Passive use.
And we were going to walk that land, find out really how much swampland is really up there. And I don't know if we ever did that, did we?
I don't know about that, but you do realize that they weren't offering to sell it to us. They were only allowing us to use it until they decided what
right,
they
yeah.
wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
And we don't own the land, so that's, I think that's a point that you have to take.
We have thought about it, Tom Dykes and myself, with the rec board, going to look at it, but it's just been a rainy year.
Well, perhaps we should do that again, even with or without the rain, so to speak. And maybe we need to have a deal with the water company that they sell it to us for $1, and that's ours. But then again, I'll ask the engineer.
Mrs. Fix and I met with Senator
I'll ask
Kelly.
the engineer this question then. Should we buy it?
Oh, Jesus.
Where you at?
I don't know.
Should we
I
buy it?
wasn't, I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay.
remember, she wasn't the
Have you ever
engineer.
walked that track up there or
I
anything?
wasn't here.
I don't
to
know.
do
Okay.
it, So,
excuse me, but I don't know how we could afford to buy it.
Yeah, I don't
We
either.
wouldn't want that, you know, we-
And I don't know how.
Well, I would only
willing
pay
they're gonna
$1.
be to-
we have enough-
I would only pay $1.
They're not gonna sell
Well,
it to you.
I still think they owe it to us, because I think they walked away with a huge amount of profit from the sale of that property to the developer. Well, another question is, what is the disposition now of the water retention area? What happens now? I see what's going on, and I watch it, and I see that every now and then there are a couple deer in there grazing, and obviously our eternal friends, the wild geese, have taken up residence there. So what happens this spring with the water retention?
You're talking about in front of the park.
In front of the baseball field on Coburn
I
Boulevard.
didn't mean to say park, I meant to say.
I'm sorry?
I meant to say baseball field, I don't know why I said park.
Well, so what happens to it?
But we do have a plan, correct?
yes, it will be replanted in the spring,
With,
the way it was designed on the plan that was
Well-
approved by the council.
Yeah, you can't just,
I can tell you right now, my wife and I would contribute any significant amount of money to see that planted with swamp milkweed. And there's a specific reason for that. And I'm sure you know what that is. It has to do with monarch butterflies. Now, I'm going to run one last thing behind you, and you may think this is far-fetched, but we have a park, Eaton Park, and I'm going to address this once again. You've got some very, very old, huge oak trees in there, and I'm not sure whether they should be allowed to continue to grow, or maybe they should be examined for their timber value. Now, 2 years ago, I got up here and said they should not be touched, but I have since changed my mind. And I still think that, at this time, I think that some of those trees may be worth a considerable amount of money. And I've been there and done this. My wife and I once had a 150-acre farm up in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we had it timbered a couple of times. And I'm telling you that those trees in that park, they reach a point where they start to deteriorate and maybe become a hazard. But as they are now, I think some of them are worth quite a bit of money. Now, I don't know whether you're interested in having them timbered or not and replaced or replanted by other trees, shrubs, and other growth, but I think it's something worth considering. And the last thing I would say about Eaton Park is that I think that there are certain areas there that could be converted into what I would call a mini meadowland where you could plant wildflowers, or I shouldn't say you, I should say, put it in the passive voice, whereby wildflowers and other beneficial plants to bees, birds, and butterflies could be planted. And I don't think it would make a great amount of difference as to the recreational use of the park. So those are all the things that I have in mind. And some of you, and some may think that I'm in a dreamland, but that is what I think. Comments?
Couple things on Eaton Park. I had talked to Gary a couple times about wildflowers, and that could be an interesting, there is a lot of area there we could probably plant them. They're not very expensive, and they would just keep coming back every year. So I will talk to Vaughn, I'll talk to Gary. We had talked about something like that. Also at Eaton Park, we had a concert there and a celebration of the grand opening of it. I know Gary takes care of checking out the trees there, and I understand what you're saying. But that park was it was a nice hot day, and we had the park was very shady with the trees that are there, and it made for a real nice place.
Yes, I brought up that point 2 years ago. I said we had so many days of 90 degrees plus weather, and I said I didn't think any of those trees should be touched, but I have since reevaluated my stance on that.
Yeah. Could be something we look. There might be one extra. I don't know. I'm not sure the current health of all the trees, and I don't know if Gary.
What would have to be done is you have to get somebody in there who's a timber expert and give you an evaluation as to what some of those big oak trees are worth. Some of those oak trees are 3 feet in diameter. I went in there one day and I measured every tree for circumference and diameter, and I know that there has to be some value, but the longer and the older they get, they might just deteriorate and end up being worth nothing and actually become hazardous. You know, it's just the way I see things. I've been there and done this, you know, I know.
I mean, we'll take everything that you said under advisement.
All right.
We're always
Donna, you want to talk
evaluating
about the meeting with Killian?
things, so.
Just
Thanks for listening to me.
let him know.
Before you go, Mr. Heller and I met with Senator Killian regarding the property, the Chester Water Authority property.
Back in December.
Right, at the time,
Last
they
December.
were still in discussions with Aqua. Apparently, that deal has fallen through. So, it looks like Chester Water Authority is going to be able to keep Chester Water Authority. It's not going to, Aqua's not going to take it over, from what I understand.
Well, that has been one of the better pieces of news I've heard, because I can tell you right now, a little byproduct of Aqua takes over Chester Water Authority is they will close down the Octorara Reservoir to recreational fishing, just like they did at the Springton Reservoir.
So that's my understanding, is that the deal's not going to happen. So now I think we can aggressively move forward. They weren't really willing to talk, not Senator Killian, but Chester Water Authority because all this was going on at the time. But now I believe that's behind them, so I think we should continue, Terry, discussions about that land and seeing if we can get it for $1 or.
I really think that Chester Water Authority owes us that piece of woodland, the borough of Brookhaven. I think they owe us that piece of woodland. I don't know about the area where they dumped all the concrete blocks and concrete waste and whatever they claim to be clean waste. But I think that they owe us that piece of woodland.
I cannot disagree with you.
Well, that's it. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Charles?
No problem.
I think you raised your hand.
You had your
I
hand up?
did. I've walked that property several times. I worked up there, and just remember, they dumped a lot of concrete and asphalt in there. A lot, probably about 30 years worth.
So
30 years worth of
yeah.
dumping up there, the water company, so just throwing that out there.
Hopefully it was all clean.
So they can keep that part.
Yes, I know.
Okay, is there any other public discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Anybody from the Brookhaven Professional Business Association here? I don't see anybody.
I don't see him.
All right, Mrs. Ford isn't here. Anybody from the school? All righty, and we'll do the fire chief's report. Sir?
Good evening, council members, members of Borough of Brookhaven. This is the monthly fire report for November 2018. We had 3 fire incidents for the month, 27 for the year, 14 non-fire incidents, 186 for the year, 31 mutual aid calls, 240 for the year. We had 4 drills last month, and 48 for the year. Total for the month was 52, and for the year is 501. Structure, we had $3,000 in property loss, $220,500 for the year. Contents, $8,000 for the month, $199,500 for the year. 0 vehicle loss, $4,000 for the year. Loss total was $11,000, $424,000 for the year. Property endangered last month was $100,000. For the year is $2,240,000. No firefighter injuries, no firefighter deaths, no civilian deaths or civilian injuries. And I told you this earlier, we had 52 calls for the month, 14 average firefighters per call, 469 hours in service, 5,683 hours for the year. 4 training sessions last month, 32 average firefighters for that, 176 hours for the month, 2,728 hours for the year. The Brookhaven Fire Company responded to the following incidents in Brookhaven. A building fire at 5200 Hilltop Drive, CC building. She was very lucky, that lady up there. Ended up being a dryer fire. Got into the laundry room, a little bit of extension. And I don't do it, but I'm sure there's people out there that do it. They put their washer and dryer on and leave for work. Don't do it. Don't put your dishwasher on and leave for work either. This lady's smelled smoke, decided to have a second cup of coffee, opened up the laundry room door, the dryer was on fire, ran out, woke her kids up, ran out of the house and called 911. So she was going to go up and get a shower. It's a good thing she didn't. We had a heating oil spill at OLC Church parking lot the day of the parade. 2 accidents, both of them at 352 on Brookhaven Road. 1 accident at Creek Road and Dutton Mill Road. The fire company assisted on 2 cardiac arrest calls for the month. Brookhaven Fire Company assisted at Chester Fire Department on a 2nd alarm building fire on Terrell Street. A fire company assisted Middletown Fire Company on an accident at Dutton Mill and Creek Road. Assisted Upland Fire Company on a building fire at Crozier Hospital, which ended up being a fire on the roof, and a building fire on Vista Lane, another dryer fire. This fire company assisted Chester Township on a gasoline spill in the basement of 1600 block of Powell Road. Fire company assisted Aston Township on an accident in the Cardinal building at 5021 Pennell Road and an accident at 2100 block of Bridgewater Road. We were traveling to another call and we saw the car off the road, the one on Bridgewater Road. The fire company monthly training involved a class on windowless buildings, a driver training class, pre-planning condominium fires and apartment fires, roof saws, K-12 saws, etc. Brookhaven Fire Company fire prevention totals were kinder care, 86 children, 17 teachers. Children early learning daycare, 40 kids. Education station daycare, 30. Children 5, or teachers 5, Christian Academy, 118 students. Coburn Elementary, 321 students and 18 teachers. That's the fire company report for the month. Brookhaven Fire Company ambulance report for November. We had 75 transports, 15 refusals. Assist the city of Chester 25 times, total call for 105. Total calls for the year was 1,272. 4 second emergency calls. We had 82 calls in the borough of Brookhaven, 9 in Media, 1 in Lima, 6 in Parkside, 1 in Middletown, 9 in Chester Township, 5 in Nether Providence, 1 in Aston, and 1 in Upland. That concludes the fire company report for the month of November. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leslie. Good job, as always.
Thank you.
So we'll have the solicitor's report, Mr. Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 4 ordinances scheduled for adoption tonight for council's consideration. All have been properly advertised and circulated to council. First is an ordinance adopting the 2015 edition of the International Energy Conservation Code.
Okay. Everybody's had a chance to look at it, so what's your pleasure?
Motion to pass.
Second.
Second. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
The second is similar. It's a different code. It's the motion to adopt the 2015 edition of the International Fuel Gas Code.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me. Carried.
The third is a motion to adopt the 2015 edition of the International Mechanical Code.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good to go.
And then the fourth and final ordinance for this evening is a new ordinance regulating the use of consumer fireworks in the borough. This is something we're trying to get passed today before New Year's Eve so that we can have it in place. Regulates who can use them, when they can use them, where they can use them, all those important things.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions on that motion?
So it will be effective, so we can have it for New Year's Eve. Okay.
Yes.
That's
My
fine.
dogs, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Does that pretty well clean us up on the building codes?
So that's next on my list. We have one more code that we need to deal with. That's the International Residential Code. That one has a lot more changes as it was approved by the state of Pennsylvania than the others we've dealt with. So I will be asking tonight for a motion to authorize me to advertise the consideration of that ordinance. I'm working with Bob Grant on dealing with some of the things that need to be changed in the model language in order to comply with what Pennsylvania approved.
Can we advertise it before you get there?
Yeah, well, we can't advertise it before I get there, but I'll get there before I need to advertise it. So if you authorize me to advertise it, I'll make sure that I fill in the blanks essentially.
You'll complete it first.
And that's what we've done with a lot of the others.
Okay.
What's it?
So it's the International Residential Code, and I've already met with Bob to talk through some of what we need to deal with, so he's aware and he's working on it.
And I'll make a
I just
motion to
wanted make sure we
advertise.
weren't jumping out
No,
ahead of
not too
ahead of
far.
the train. Okay.
I'll make a motion to advertise.
Second.
Any questions?
Is
This
it probably
would-
will be January or February?
That's what I was gonna say, this would be for the January council meeting.
That's fine.
I'd be advertising in the spirit.
That's fine.
Okay.
Was there a motion and a second? Okay. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And then in January, that should be the last of those, so.
Okay.
Good, good.
Other items for tonight, we do have a resolution amending certain provisions of the employee handbook. If you'll recall, this was something that was adopted a few months back. We made some minor changes already once. This is hopefully cleaning up the last of those. It adds bereavement coverage and some other things for the current employees. So that's been circulated to council if anyone has any questions.
What's your pleasure?
Can I make a motion to pass the resolution?
Second?
That was a question, right? She's saying that
No,
Okay,
no,
make
she
the
was
motion.
made a
Yeah,
motion.
I think she was making the motion.
I was making a motion.
Okay.
I thought she said, can I make the motion?
Yeah, that's
No,
what
I
she
said,
did say that.
no, but
Is there a second?
Yes.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
that's fine.
Okay, Gary.
Okay, and then the final item on my list for tonight is, as many people are aware, Chief McGoldrick from the police department's been out of work for quite some time with a service-related injury. Labor Council's been involved, and we've reached an agreement where he's going to be placed on permanent service-connected disability, and any other outstanding issues are going to be resolved. That's being done by way of a resolution, which was circulated to council earlier today. Labor Council, Mr. McLaughlin, has reviewed that and approved it for consideration tonight by council.
Yeah, we actually just found out late this afternoon that there was a global agreement between the insurance company, the pension people, the union, and Mr. McLaughlin representing the borough. So, and there were some other names on there, and I didn't know who they were, but it seems like everybody's on board at this point. So this is Mr. McGoldrick's retirement, actually. So what's your pleasure?
Is there certain language we need to put in the motion?
So in the motion, we're supposed to reference the plan provisions. So just to clarify, it would be a motion to adopt the resolution and approve the discharging honorably of Chief McGoldrick from police employment in respect to a permanently disabling injury. The pension payments that will be paid as a result of the disability are pursuant to section 4.03 of the plan. His disability is a service-connected disability as that term is defined in section 1.16 of the plan.
I'll take the motion.
Seconded.
Any questions?
Yeah,
All
we'll
in
just
favor?
make sure Mary has all that to put in the motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, since we've just passed that resolution, I spoke to the solicitor earlier this evening before we started, and I'd like permission from council, the solicitor, and whoever we start to put together an application for employment, put it out in the newspapers over the next several
Not
days.
An application, you mean an
Yeah,
ad?
an ad in the paper, I'm sorry. An ad in the paper. So I guess what we'll do, Matt, if you would start drawing something up and we can review it and give it to the council members. Hopefully, they can take a look at it, add, subtract from it. But let's get this process started so we
Yeah,
can.
what I would like to see us do is a slow, deliberate process, because I want to make sure that we have the right person.
Absolutely.
So, once that ad is together, I want the council to sort of be on board as to what we really want. And we have collected some of that information. We've been talking about this for a while. But it's taken us this long to get the job open. And I kind of want to just sort of deliberately go through it and make sure that when we hire somebody, that we hired the right person, because that will determine the direction of our police force going forward.
A long time.
And we want to do that right. I don't want to do it, I want to do it once and right. So,
Mr. Solicitor, do you think we can have something drafted by, when's our next meeting?
There was a workshop on the 17th.
The 17th?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly put a draft together by then.
Okay.
We do have a labor lawyer who is going to be handling this for us, and he's going to be working in conjunction with Matt.
However they do
I
it.
would suggest that we, after the first of the year, we have an executive session, and we discuss this, all of us, with the two lawyers, and figure out what we want, and then put it into place and put an ad in immediately in January. I think it would be
The
more.
other thing I wanna
Right now,
do is
we're
I
like
wanna-
running all over the place.
yeah, the other thing I want to do is advertise far and wide. I want to
Yeah,
make sure.
I know.
I want to
I'm not even
make
sure
sure this
where
gets
to
out.
do that.
I don't want a political hack. I want a cop. I want somebody that knows what they're doing.
Well, I would suggest we get this meeting sooner than later. If we
We-
can still
we can
do it,
do
if
it.
we can still do it in December, let's do it in December.
Yeah, I don't think we have to wait
Have
until
an
the first of the year, but I think, I think we can start, at least have a meeting this year and start the process. That's my thought.
Slow
I
deliberate.
mean, we went a year and a half or more. It's, a few more weeks isn't certainly going to hurt.
The other thing I would like to do is sometime after the first of the year is bring Mr. McGoldrick in and just thank him for his years of service. I think that would be appropriate.
Absolutely.
Sure enough.
May prepare a resolution, and it's a good idea. Okay, move on.
We'll put something together, Mike. All right. Thank you. All right, moving forward. Minute approval. We need a minute approval for the September 24th council workshop meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We also need a motion to approve the October 1st council meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Mayor's report, Mayor Hess.
Just one item, Mr. President. For you recall, I guess about 2 months ago, you asked to have the handicap lanes increase, and council approved it, or we changed the ordinance to raise it from $15 to $50. Just to bring you up to date, in the month of November so far, we've issued 51 of those citations for a total of $2,550. Strangely enough, they've all been paid except for a couple. The ones who haven't paid it, we already sent it to the court to send citations out to the individuals. So we're aggressively, between the fire safety officers and the police department and the fire marshal, we're aggressively doing this. As a matter of fact, when I see them, I call them myself. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we'll get into council report, and we'll start with Mr. Heller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a whole lot. Both the Technology and Communications and Historical Committees set their dates and times for their meetings, since we now have to advertise them. So the Tech Committee going forward will meet the second Thursday of every month at 7 p.m., and the Historical Committee will meet the third Wednesday of the month, also at 7 p.m. Both will be held in the council room. And we did not meet last month, and we will not meet this month. The next dates for both meetings are Wednesday, January 16th at 7 p.m. for the Tech Committee, and Thursday, January 10th at 7 p.m. for the Historical Committee. The first order of business for the Tech Committee for 2019, at least my half of it, will be implementing an emergency notification system, and for the Historical Committee, it will be looking into the installation of Hometown Hero banners. Board of Health, Bob Grant informed me today that he is just 6 shops short of completing 2018's inspections, and that Joe Bynum is close to getting his certification, and nothing for civil service. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I have that down here, please?
Sure.
Thank you. I'll get it right.
All right.
Excuse me, Mr. President. This question is actually from Mary. Mary?
Yes?
When civil service, are they required to meet at least once a year?
Maybe to.
Yeah, it's usually January.
I mean, I don't know if you've met this year at all, but.
We met February or March. We did meet
you did?
in
Okay.
18. Mhm.
Mr. Wills was hired. That's
Yeah, for the whole full-time, well, it was for the, correct, and that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
There was also, I think we had 2 meetings, maybe 3. We had one for the traffic safety officer position.
All right.
Where we debated that with Mr. Wills.
Just want to make sure it's still intact.
I haven't heard anything since, but I'm sure they're still alive.
I would have read their names out.
Well, I think so. From the looks of a couple of them, I can't guarantee that, but.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Planning Commission met the month of November, but there was no new business. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Fuchs.
Thank you. The Ordinance Committee is scheduled to meet December 20th. We're just going to have a little thank you celebration with them, thanking them for their hard work throughout the year. Business revitalization news, the building on Creek Road, which was Blast, then was Novatech, and now will be a hydraulic company. I don't know the name of it yet, but it looks like it's going to be a go. Once I get more information, I'll be sure to let everyone know. So I'm happy that that building is not going to be vacant, as we've seen it in the past. Tech Committee news. There are some more changes in store for our website. I'm working with Jim Caden to add a search feature to the website, so if there's something specific you're looking for, you can put it in the search section and it'll pop right up. So we're working on that. So leading up to that, I am requesting that any documents that need to be saved to the website, they need to be saved as a PDF file first before they get to me. So if they're scanned as a PDF, it's not going to work on the website, not with the search feature. So when you go to, I'll send everybody instructions on how to do it. It's very simple, but it does need to be a PDF, created as a PDF file and not scanned as a PDF file. Let's see, I have no news for the Business Community Association. I have community news. The next CHIP vaccination clinic will be held on April 2nd, 2019. I will provide more detail as it nears. I also wanted to remind everyone on council to please email me your committee meeting dates so I can put them all on the website. It makes it difficult for me to go off my notes, so if everyone can email me, I'd appreciate it. So we'll get it all out there. This Saturday, beginning at 6 p.m., some streets in the Dutton's Mill development will be participating in the celebration of life. So that's the bags with the candles. Adams Drive and Grant Drive will be participating, and there may be some other streets in our development too. So if you get a moment, 6 p.m., drive through our development and look at all the beautiful lights that you'll see.
When's that again, Donna, Saturday?
Saturday at 6.
Okay.
And that's all my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. LaPierre.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see, the zoning hearing board will meet Tuesday, December 11th. That's this coming, a week from this Tuesday, 7 o'clock in this room to discuss Freddy's Burgers new sign. All right, and that's all they have on the agenda for the rest of the year. The rec board met last Thursday, November 29th at 7 o'clock. The next meeting will be January 31st of 2019. The meeting of December 27th, 2018 will be canceled due to Christmas break. Take a holiday there. It's been a busy year. The last event for the rec board will be this coming Sunday. It's the Gingerbread House event. It's $15 a person, which includes all supplies. Sinfully Delicious will supply all materials needed to make a gingerbread house, and they will instruct you how to do it. So I believe they're still taking sign-ups up until the end of the week. So if you are interested, please call the borough office. You can talk to Dawn. She definitely knows what's going on. All right. Just this past weekend, the rec board had their last two big events of the year. The first one was the senior luncheon. That was held at 1 o'clock this past Sunday. Approximately 200 seniors were there. We had a nice meal. We had a lot of fun. We even had a raffle this year. Starbucks gave us something to raffle off. So one woman, when I put the ticket on her table next to her, she pulled out a purse thinking it was a 50-50. I said, no money needed. So, but it was a nice event. Everybody got out there around 2:30, so a lot of fun was had. Later that night, this is why this is the busiest day for the rec board, we had our annual tree lighting festival and the pictures with Santa Claus. There was approximately 175 to 200 people in the gym. We had to bring everything inside because of the weather. It was by the Christmas tree out back. It was way too muddy to have the kids standing out there. I do want to thank Laura O'Kane. She is the director of the Coburn Elementary School Choir. We had 30 young ladies in the gym singing, I guess it was 5 songs, as they do every year. Parkside has been here the last couple of years. Parkside Elementary School was not able to make it because I believe Parkside had their own event. And because of the rain, the carriage rides were also canceled. But we did have fun inside. Everybody I talked to had a blast. And we actually took about 65 pictures with Santa Claus, so they were busy with that. So, and in that regards, for those for both days, I do want to make a couple thank yous to the local shops who helped us out, because most of the stuff was donated for the tree lighting ceremony and a lot, and we had some donations for the senior luncheon. So I do want to thank Brookhaven ShopRite, Brookhaven Giant, the Brookhaven Starbucks, the Brookhaven Wawa, the Aston Wawa, because the Brookhaven Wawa ran out of hot cocoa they were supposed to give us and called the Aston Wawa, and they gave us some. So I'll give them a thanks. Keys Bakery, Sinfully Delicious Bakery, Dunkin' Donuts in Parkside. As always, the fire department for giving Santa Claus the ride and getting him here safely every year. And also, I do want to thank the rec board. Thank council for letting the rec board do what they do. I want to thank rec board. They are a hard-working group. A lot of these events, we were in that building from about 11:30 yesterday till about 8 o'clock. So it's but they all do it. They do enjoy it. Tom's here for the rec board. It's a lot of fun. Everything they do, everything I do, I've been involved with the rec board for 15, 16 years now, at least. I wouldn't trade them for the world. So I do want to thank them, and that is the end of my report.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
please. Thank you.
Ms. Leslie?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have two things. First, my condolences to the Montella family and to the fire department for the loss of Mr. Montella. I've known Mr. Montella since around 1978, so good guy. Also want to thank the fire department and police department for helping out with the Delco Cruisers toy run, blocking off the streets for us. It was an awesome event, even though it rained. End of my report.
Okay, great, thank you. Janice, do you have anything that's not budget related?
Yes, I do. I do have some bills. Now, in your packet, you will notice at the top left, it'll say 12/3/18, and it'll say 4:22 p.m. That is the latest one that Delilah did this afternoon. So that's the bill list that we're using. She's had a couple copies. I just wanted to make sure people have the most current one that we're using. So I'm going to make a motion so we can pay the bills, so we can send the checks out tomorrow.
Okay, motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all I have right now.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, engineers report, Ms. Mulvaney.
I'll start with the motion.
Stealing my, yeah, I know.
We are going out for bid for the new plant operator contract. However, the contractor doesn't have a copy of the contract. We don't have a copy of the contract, so we're creating a new one. It's going to delay. The advertisement a little bit while we create a new one. But so if we could have a motion to extend their current contract to I think it's February 4th is your next meeting. I did it in my head on the way here. I want to get through another month plus to the February meeting. Is it the 4th?
I'll make that motion. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And we did sit down and talk, and I will say that the primary reason given for why the excess, what we think are excess costs, are the call-outs because the rags are getting caught in the pumps. So the mechanical screen is in this year's budget. So based on that, the expectation should be that once that gets installed, that all their extra costs should be gone. So that's the goal. So we are moving forward with that.
Yeah, that's the only real major item that we need to take care of next year, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
Well, yeah.
So the camera is expected to be delivered in mid-December. We actually have a confirmation of that. The explanation we got was that, I don't know whether we already said this, but they lost 2 of their own cameras that they use in service. So they were taking pieces from the customer ones that they were making and using those to keep their cameras going. So that delayed the new cameras from being made. So, anyway, mid-December, we have a lot to get done once we do get the camera. So hopefully most people are using what I've been told is now called a forever tree instead of a real tree for Christmas, so that the Public Works guys will have plenty of time to televise and won't be picking up trees. They still pick up the trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully everyone's going to use a forever tree. So let's see. I do think that your warranty has expired on your new LED lights, so it would be appropriate to authorize the preparation and advertisement of a new bid for maintenance of your street lights.
Already?
They just didn't get paid for a long time, but
I know it took a long time to wrap it up. Yeah.
they got, the warranty started at the period of substantial completion. Substantial completion was 90%. So that was completed from the
that's the
schedule
date
that they
they're-
gave us. I mean, I don't know, I wasn't here, so I'm hoping.
Okay.
But anyway, we can still authorize it, and we'll try to confirm that somehow.
Okay.
Well, I know they reached out to me to clean up the final punch list stuff, and that was back in, I don't know, May.
Yeah, that was this year.
So that, yeah, that May of this year,
What they're
that's,
saying is it goes back further than that.
well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. So final, if we had a 1-year warranty, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that
It's
sounds
possible that
probably
it could
about
be,
right. yeah.
right.
Because they wanted to clean up the punch list items in April or May.
Okay. So I do have a motion.
Did we finish the motion on extending that contractor? I didn't remember, I didn't hear us
At the
voting.
wastewater treatment plant, you
Yes.
made the motion, Jim made the second, and it was.
Did we vote on it?
So now
Yes,
we're
we
on the
voted on
maintenance
it.
for streetlights.
Let's just make sure.
Contract.
Well, I'll make the motion for the LED.
Second.
Any questions about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay, we'd like to, I'll leave that for last. The Hilltop Storm Sewer System. They've sent back that they believe the borough is the owner. So in the report last week, I asked that if someone from the office can go through the minutes from back when Hilltop was built.
Wow.
And see what kind of documentation there is, because there are no drawings available to us to look at. So at some point, there should have been an agreement and a vote, and there should have been an acceptance. The borough should have had to accept the storm sewer system if that's what they intended to do.
So they're not
We
saying.
did not accept the roads, which surprises me that we would have accepted a storm sewer when we didn't accept the roads. And we didn't accept the roads because they weren't built to PennDOT standards. So why we would have accepted the storm sewer, I don't know. I mean, why we would have accepted the
Do
storm
they,
sewer, I don't know.
here, my question is, do they have any proof?
They sent me
to back up their
two,
claim?
they sent two drawings, pieces of two drawings. One was the drawing that we sent them, which didn't have anything new on it, and the other one was a Catania drawing. And I didn't, the section that I saw, I did not see anything that seemed to indicate it wasn't theirs, but I didn't see anything. I mean, it was
So they're
just a
they're
small, but I think we should do some research and see what we can find in the minutes. There should have been, there had to have been discussion on that. That is not something that you typically, you would not have taken
I mean, we're
over.
going back to the
Can I
1970s.
give you
Right.
some historical background? That went in as an apartment. Then the court and media made it condos. And that was a very
No, 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 no,
contracted.
no, no,
Yes,
that was,
Hilltop.
that was.
That's how Hilltop went in.
I don't believe
and
that
I don't know if
Hilltop
you
went
have-
in that way. I think that
That's
that
what
was.
happened. In
I think that was
1969, the
Trumbull-
judge and media.
Janice, I think that was Trumbull Run.
No, it wasn't. It was Hilltop. I know it for a fact.
I know Trumbull Run went in.
Would you tell them?
Hilltop went in as an apartment?
Yes, it was. I know. I was there.
Holy mackerel.
Hilton
Okay.
has
Yeah.
apartments, and then when he started the condo, the people went into court.
Right.
And the court told the.
Well, how does that change anything, even if that's the case, how does that change
That
anything
wouldn't
that we're talking
have,
about?
it wouldn't have changed anything. It goes back to the, I don't believe it. I think it goes back to the original approval, and there should have been discussion by council. There absolutely should have been documentation where you guys, not you,
Now, are they
per
saying
se,
the
but
whole thing?
none of you were here, but
Just help me out here.
I would've-
Are they talking about the whole thing, or are they just talking about the part that
Exactly
goes
the
into,
section that-
goes into Nether
Yes.
Providence?
all the part that goes from, that we're asking them to look at, all of that leads down through the ball fields. They're saying that because it's in the ball fields, that it's owned by us. That's not necessarily true, so that's why we have to see what we can find out. And
Would anything have been filed at the courthouse?
those
Was it
plans,
easement or anything, or?
well, it wouldn't have been,
Just for the
Or
storm,
if it would have been ownership, there wouldn't have been a deed or something?
not just for a sewer problem.
no, I don't,
Have we ever fixed a piece of storm?
No,
no.
sewer? Okay.
never.
I'm sure they would have asked us, but yeah, I guess we have to find, I guess it's on us to prove it.
Well, I just think it's better to have, I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know, Matt, what do you?
I agree with that.
I mean, it's,
Sanitary.
I mean, it's worth looking in the minutes.
I think it's worth looking in the minutes.
45 years ago?
Yeah, but I don't
If
think
we
you
have
can
them?
find it.
You have to hold on to
Yeah,
them.
if it's not there.
The minutes have to be held.
Yeah.
Okay,
We should have every minute from the borough's inception.
We do.
Yeah,
But I
right.
don't know how
So it
detailed
should
they
be,
are.
it should be able to be, anyway, so that's where we are with that.
In the minute book.
I don't believe it.
I find it really hard to believe. Especially since we did not take the roads. It just doesn't make any sense. I did want to ask for another motion to authorize a storm sewer repair at 3605 Williamson Avenue. I did, the price is estimated, we don't actually know exactly what's wrong, but the owner, this line runs through someone's lawn area, their yard, side yard, and the owner fell into the sinkhole that developed after the rain last week, whichever rain, it rains all the time, so I don't know which rain it was.
I was there, she actually went right in up to, almost to her waist.
So, I don't know exactly what needs to be done to it yet, but I think the price is anywhere between $4,000 and $10,000. I did check with Janice, and she says the funds are available. It is general fund. You cannot use liquid fuels on when it's outside of the road. So I'm looking for a motion to authorize this repair.
I'll take the motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Get them out there. So I'll bring up I wanted to go back over something that came out in October and still seems to be coming around. So I just want to review the email about the grants and the left turn signals at Coburn, Cambridge, and Edgemont Avenue. So an email was sent identifying various grants that might be available for this type of work. So I guess internal emails went back and forth over this, and council then voted to proceed using liquid fuels money to get these signals. Delilah was preparing the budget last week, asked me about being told that we were getting, the number was given to me was $18,000 to replace these signals. So she wanted to know where she should put this revenue, and I said I'm not aware of it. So I asked what it was. It turns out it was just a general email. As far as I know, there is no grant that's been identified to pay for this. But I want to go through the ones that were identified so that council understands what each of these grants, what they are. So Act 89 was the first one on the list. This is a transportation bill. It was signed in 2013. These are some of the projects that it's funded since then. US 1 City Avenue resurfacing, $2.9 million. I-76 resurfacing, $800,000. Another $1 million on I-76 resurfacing. I-95, $3.4 million. You get the point. These are huge projects. Our project of $20,000 is not part of that program. So as part of that, in the 5th year, which we're now in the 5th year, we're going into it, one of the items that was included was an increase in the liquid fuels allocation as a result of the act. And that's where we are this year. And so 2019 is the 5th year. The borough will receive additional monies to the tune of $80,000. The county gets a liquid fuels allocation also, and that's what they choose to distribute that as the county aid program. So that's their portion of the state liquid fuels allocation, and they don't keep it. They don't own any roads. So they distribute it to the towns in Delaware County. So that allocation may or may not increase. It's up to county council how they use their allocation each year. So liquid fuels money has always been able to be used for traffic signal improvements. It can also be, it's very rigid though in what you are allowed to use it for. So it has to be within a roadway. Nothing outside of a roadway. It has to be either paving, traffic signals, street lights, snow removal, and the storm sewers that can be done must be within the road. So any of these that go beyond the curb line are not allowed to be fixed or replaced or created or constructed. Any lines cannot be, you cannot use liquid fuels money to pay for that. So in this case, council made a correct use of liquid fuels money when you made the decision to pay for these using your liquid fuels. So you have liquid fuels, you get it every year, and it's up to you guys how you use it as long as it's used for eligible projects. So that was the first grant that was identified, was the Act 89. The next one is the PennDOT Multimodal Transportation Grant, and this is really geared more towards towns that have rail service and intercity buses, much more public transportation related, I mean, airports, things like that. I mean, it's really not geared towards a borough. Again, I had projects that I found, and they're just way out of line with what we would be able to do. So that one I don't believe would be something that the borough could participate in at any level, because I just don't think it applies to us. The third one they brought up was the PennDOT traffic signal program, and there's two under that, the automated red light enforcement grant. And this grant is for existing signals, and it's to improve safety, enhance mobility, and reduce congestion. Grants go in by the end of June, and I believe we discussed this one, and it was decided that nobody wanted to wait, that we wanted these right away. No match is required, though, so that's a good thing on it. And a small grant does actually apply to this program. It's just that the timing wasn't going to work. So I did look for projects that had been funded in Delaware County during the last 2 years, and there are some projects, but they're all, the least expensive one I could find was $77,000. So there's an application to be done. You'll pay for a PennDOT inspector because it's a state road, Route 352, so you'll pay that salary. To me, I still think, I'm just trying to reiterate your decision that you made, I still think that using liquid fuels money was the appropriate decision if you don't want to, I think the benefits of getting it done sooner will offset these minor savings that you might get by not having to do an application, then you're going to pay for an inspector anyway. So the last one was the Green Light Go grant. This is the one you already have that we don't know anything about.
No, I don't.
I do know that it changed from a 50% match. Our project must be an old one because it only changed last year to a 20% match requirement. So again, it's limited. If we ever get to the point where we need new controllers, that's an eligible project. I don't know how old all the controllers are. So that's something to look at. Then you can actually get a grant so that it communicates with their system that they have at PennDOT that shows all the state routes, and it almost looks like NASA. You know, it's this huge like laboratory looking thing with all these maps all over. Pretty neat that but all that for traffic. But anyway, you can get a grant to connect to that so that they can then watch Brookhaven on their screens. So I think that on that, there is that, now it's down to a 20% match. The next application is due January 11th. This time, though, you're required to meet with them. It's kind of like one of the DEP recycling grants. You have to actually meet with them before you can apply. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of running out of time. If you did decide you wanted to do it, you still won't get the money. If you get the grant, you won't get it until probably next fall as a minimum. It's in the next state budget. So I think with all that being said, I'd like to ask that we kind of put this going around and around and around on this traffic signal to bed and not have it, you made a decision to pay out of liquid fuels. It's not a lot of money. I think we just move forward and we get the thing done when PennDOT's finished with the drawing. I announced last month that they finished the counts. They're working on modifying the permits. Then we have to get, depending on, I don't know whether we have a copy of the traffic signal maintenance contract here, but if we do, we need to check to see if they can do installations. They never used to be able to do installations, but I don't know if the contract changed in the last 6 years. So if they can do installations and your traffic signal contractor can do it, if it's not, then we have to bid it. And I think it's a quote. I think it's just getting 3 quotes so we could move forward with that. I'm not sure that we're going to see the plan before the end of the year just because of the time of year it is. So I would say I'd bring it up again in January and try to get this thing cleaned up in January, February timeframe.
I can check Higgins' contract.
Oh, you have the contract?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Higgins Electric.
Is it Higgins?
And you have the street light? Do you have the,
I can show it to you.
do you have this, I mean, the wastewater treatment plant contract? Well, if you can look for that, because that's another one. We looked here, we didn't see it. The contractor doesn't have a copy of it. So we don't know where they are, but and if you can get us a copy of that.
I
It's Miller Environmental.
I just got one today.
We just paid, the report, they send me monthly.
No, that's a month. Yeah, we're looking for the actual contract that the borough signed with them.
Okay, I'll find it.
If we could get a copy of that contract, the traffic signal maintenance contract, I'd like to read it then, just to see what it says. Okay. So the last thing would be the stormwater tip. It is now time to take a look at your house and yard as you prepare for the winter season. Have you removed leaves and branches from the street that would impede water and snow runoff to the inlets? Check your roof and downspouts. Change the direction of the downspout to your lawn area or garden. This will reduce the chance of icing driveways and sidewalks during the winter months. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
I really just want to comment on this because months ago, I put in the budget $20,000 for the lights, these arrows, because it's an emergency. I know somebody was almost killed at that intersection. I've tried everything, and this is not going to be a lot of money. It's between $8,000 and $10,000 per arrow. We can afford it.
Janice,
you don't have to get a light.
You made the motion, somebody made the second, and we all approved a long time ago. So that's why I keep saying we should be moving forward with this.
It has been
kidding.
moving
It's
forward.
PennDOT is holding it up.
The problem isn't in the borough.
PennDOT,
the
it's
problem
not
is
us.
PennDOT. And-
PennDOT has to do
and
the
good luck
budget.
pushing
I
them.
understand that. Eileen's been explaining that to me.
But we can pay for it without going for it. And the Green Go Light, we're stuck with a 50% bill. I've got a $61,000 expenditure next year because we've got to pay for that Green Light Go, which somebody in the prior administration did it at 50%. 50% we're paying for traffic light repairs. That's outrageous. We never should get a grant for 50%. It should be 5, 10, 15, not 50. When I saw that this year, I was really upset because I had to find $61,000 to pay that contractor who's been working for like 3 years on.
So we're still paying on it, or it's done after that payment?
We have to pay once he gets finished. He's doing the work. PennDOT pays for it, and then I have to repay PennDOT.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my God.
I know, and I just found out about it this year. I didn't even realize they had it, but please, no more grants. They're not helping us if it's 50%. If it's 5 or 10 or 20 is okay, but please not 50.
Oh,
It
that
was
reminds
really
me.
tough to get this money to.
I do have one more thing. You did send an email out about that, talking about grants. The Circuit Trail grant that Nether Providence asked if you're interested in participating. The application's due the 14th, so I think I should bring this up to you. So anyway, I looked into it a little bit, and it's being funded by the William Penn Foundation for $3 million. And each project, the maximum that you can receive is $500,000. Now, you can get a grant for the engineering portion of it. If you get a grant for the engineering portion, when you put your application in, you need to identify to the state how you're going to pay for construction. I don't know that at this point anyone knows how you would pay for construction. And we don't know whether this is restriping. We don't know if we have to get new right-of-way, purchase right-of-way. So it's up to you whether or not they want to do it from Creek Road all the way up to 252. I'm assuming Nether Providence is preparing the application if you agree.
This is
that you want to
Brookhaven
do
Road?
this.
And what would it cost us? It's fully
There's
covered?
there is no match required. If you give a match, your rating will go up. They don't say by how much. So they're going to prioritize them based on the significance of the project, how much it benefits the people, blah, 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 all the normal criteria for a grant. And then if you offer a match, your rating will get higher, but they don't say by how much. Then if you do go for the full grant for the engineering portion, and these things I've done 3 of these state PennDOT grants, and I know Catania's also done them. This is not cheap engineering. This is twice as much.
So it'll be a bike lane?
I don't know, it'll either be a
Who the
shared
hell
lane
would want to
or a
ride their bike up
separate.
Brookhaven Road? I don't even want to drive up Brookhaven Road. Can you imagine Mount Vernon?
So anyway,
You mentioned Mount
I'm going to
Vernon,
tell you that
Brookhaven
you
Road.
may end up having a match, a 20% match in construction that cannot be from the same
Thank you.
source.
Someone agrees in the back.
as you would get the engineering grant, if you got the, if they put in for engineering, I mean, Nether Providence didn't tell us what they were applying for. I'm assuming it's just the engineering, or if it's a feasibility study, I have no idea. Whatever you have, when it comes to construction, you can't get money from the same source that pays for the feasibility or engineering. So it's your pleasure whether or not you want to pursue this with Nether Providence, and whether or not you think there's value to
It doesn't
Brookhaven.
sound like something that,
I don't know how you're going to
Just look
fund
at the
it.
safety issue of.
Okay, so who's
I have
going to
no
send
idea
the
how you're
email
gonna
back?
fund
It was
this.
addressed to you, Mon. You want to send it back saying council?
well, the way I took the email was you're only going to respond if you're going to do it. But I can send them something.
So why doesn't council at least vote so we have it on the record? Is council interested in participating in the regional trails
Is
program?
anyone, I'm just
We don't have
concerned
the
about
money,
safety of.
We don't have the money, exactly.
We don't have the money. This is.
Well, you don't know. I mean, that's one of the criteria, is you have to make it safe. So that's part of the
We really need
engineering
a vote to
process. But
not
it may
participate.
require purchasing real estate in order to do that.
I don't know that we need a vote to not participate, but,
I don't know, with what?
Matt?
No, I mean, you don't need a vote not to do something. If they, I mean, if you want a definitive answer just so there's a record, somebody could make a motion and then you can vote on it.
Make a motion that we don't do it.
That's what I mean.
I'm
That was-
serious.
that was
There you
the
go.
vote.
All right.
We need to have it. There
you go.
Because I'm not going to
And
have
we'll
them
do it
come
that
back
way.
and say,
Is there a second?
I'll second
Second.
that.
Well, be it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is anybody opposed to that? Well, okay, we're out.
We
Good.
need more discussion on things like that in the future.
Okay,
We're gonna get killed on
is that
Facebook.
it?
No, we write
That's
the
it.
letter.
Bikes.
Thank you, good
Get
job.
it worded right. Did you write the letter, so get it worded right? Sure.
All right, so the November Public Works Report, they finished cutting grass for the year. They did fertilize the grass over at Eaton Park. They worked getting ready for the holiday parade, checked on 2 sinkholes on storm sewer lines, moved 2 sets of bleachers to the municipal center for the Christmas tree lighting. There was 1 sore call that turned out to be the homeowner problem. Continue to fill potholes. Issued more brackets for the speed monitors at different locations, and then moved the speed monitors around as the police department directs. Finished up the first 2 weeks of leaf pickup. The pulley on the flag across the street is broken. We'll replace that shortly. Put a safety fence around. We didn't have to put it at half-mast, it was already there. We put a safety fence around the large sinkhole on Williamson Avenue. We have the old police car that should be given to the fire company if that's what you choose to do. We
Can I
don't
make
think
that
that we're going to
motion?
get anything for
Can I
it.
make that motion?
Sure can.
I'll make a motion that
Right
we
now.
donate it to the fire department.
Okay.
Second. Jeez.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You
Good
guys
luck with it.
you guys are in good shape. Got another car to tear up.
That's right.
All right.
Is that
We
one,
also,
is that one of the 15 we're giving back?
yeah, that's one of the 25 you're giving back. You got to keep up. Okay. Also, we have a 1998 Ford cab and chassis that we should advertise to sell. It might generate, we estimate a couple $1,000s, and I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Our enclosed lawn trailer recently was struck from behind. They were at Dutton Mills Road, and a lady hit them, hit the back of the truck, and there were no injuries. It appears that the trailer is going to cost more to fix than it will to get a new one. They took it out to 4 Aces trailer sales, and we were told that they needed a more complete. It would need a complete new rear door, and it looks like the axles have shifted. It may have also slipped back to. It may have also have to be shipped back to South Carolina in order to be repaired. And he gave us an estimate of $6,000 or more. A new trailer is $7,500. And Mary is now currently working with the insurance company to, before we proceed. The good part is that carries a lot of our lawn equipment, and we're kind of done for the season. So we have some time to take care of that, and we're not coming up short. The park buildings are in the process of being winterized. Now, we took delivery of the 2019, it's a Ford 550 cab and chassis. It was purchased through CoStar, and the truck is a replacement for a 1998 Ford 800. That had a slipping transmission and it had numerous oil leaks, and the truck was going to be a waste of money to repair. So we had the stainless steel body removed from the 1998 truck and reinstalled on the 550. We also took an extended warranty on the vehicle. The warranty covers everything on this truck with the exception of battery, brakes, rotors, and tires. The full coverage bumper to bumper took another maintenance package that does all the maintenance on this vehicle for the next 7 years. That would include oil and filters, tire rotations, and anything else that comes up. So both warranties are for a full 7 years, and it can be done at the Ford dealer. So pretty much with this, well, I should say this, the warranties are for 84 months or 75,000 miles. So the increased price was $7,860. It breaks down to about 10 cents a mile for life of the warranty, and we should not have to do anything to this truck except take it to the Ford dealer for the next 7 years. So it was a way to save you some money in the long run. It was a good deal. Gary jumped on it, you know, when they put it out there. So for those people who think that we're not trying to save you money, we're constantly trying to do that. But what I'd like to do is try to get a motion to advertise this 98 Ford with the cab and chassis and see if we can get something for it.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Are we going to have it for December 17th or January? Probably January, you would think.
What do you mean, the ad?
I mean, when they put the bids, when the people give their proposal. Probably January would be better?
Probably January.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I kind of thought. Give people time with the holiday.
Okay, we got a nice letter. It was to all the Brookhaven Council members. And it was, dear Brookhaven Council members, I wanted to take this time to extend our tremendous gratitude to the Brookhaven Borough Council members, borough employees, and the citizens of Brookhaven for allowing the Reeder family and the Crozier EMS to utilize the community center for Chief Reeder's line of duty death services. Without hesitation, when the request was made, Chief Montella of the Brookhaven Fire Department responded to our request immediately, and that was granted. This made our job of planning his services far less complicated. The Reeder family, the Crozier EMS, are eternally grateful to all of you who were involved. Somehow thank you does not seem enough. Please extend our gratitude to not only yourselves, but please also extend our thanks to your police department, fire police, and a very special thank you to Harry, his assistance was invaluable. Again, thank you for all you have done, and if we can ever assist you in the future, please do not hesitate. And it's from Lawrence Warlow, and he's the Assistant Chief Crozier at EMS, and the Reeder family liaison. I thought that was nice. I put a copy of this in the chief's folder today so that he can pass that along to the fire company. Okay, we were asked for help from the school district. They have some families that are in distress coming up on the holiday season. And so what we're asking you to do is to reach out. We have kids that are going to need gifts at the holiday time. We've got sizes, and if you want to adopt a family or a kid, please contact us here at the hall, and we can get that information into your hands to help people that are in distress and people in trouble at the holiday season. The parade wrap up, our meeting will be on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Our award ceremony will be, traditionally we do it in January, so in January we'll be giving out the awards from the parade. And if you want to help us next year, it would be a good time to join us at the meeting on Wednesday as we prepare. Now that we've got this one behind us, we start looking toward the next one. So, and it usually takes us about a year to pull it all together, right? So that was a good job by everybody. The parade, I think, was a success. I heard that the events yesterday were a success. I was a little bit out of sorts and did not want to, Saturday was a really bad day for me, and I didn't want to bring that in, especially with the older folks with the senior luncheon. Feeling a little better today, so I ventured out. But I hear everything went really well, and so I congratulate the rec board on that. All right, so Let me come back to my agenda, and we'll go to inspectors. Mr. Hampton, you have anything for us?
I will just expound just a little bit on the hydraulics people. I had a tour of the gentleman's facilities up in Fallcroft last Friday. He asked me to come up and take a look at that, see what he was doing, if I would have any problem with what he's going to do down here. And I told him he's zoned light industrial, and I looked at him, he's fine. One thing I did say to him, I said, good, I said, our snow plow breaks, we have the hydraulic man right here in town, if anything goes on with our things. But this building here would be about 4 times of what his building is up there that he has. I've had a couple meetings with him here in the borough. All his vehicles, everything will be parked in the rear as far as he can. And so far, he's talking good. He will keep me informed. He makes a settlement this month, hopefully, and it hopes to be ready to go in March. So that's just where that is. And I will give Mrs. Paul the permit that I've written up for him, but haven't given him yet until he makes that. But I'll let you know what I have. Okay. But anything else now, as I say, the meeting, I did talk to Bob Scott, though, and the solicitor for the zoning board. You have the property up there is not built yet. Now, where am I going to post the sign?
Oh.
It has to be on the property. What I talked to him about is I will take a sign and put it in one of these little islands they have up there as close as I can get to that, so at least it's posted up there on the whole property. There's a sign up there, and I'll have to do that tomorrow. But just let you know, if somebody sees a sign somewhere, maybe in the ramp coming down, he suggested any place that I think I can get it near where Verizon's going to build, not Verizon, but beyond Verizon.
Freddy's.
That's my report.
That's a good idea.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Leslie?
Like I said earlier, just want to reiterate about your appliances. Don't put your appliances on and go out. Don't put your appliances on and go to bed. Anything like that. It's not a good idea. That's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Nobody from fire safety. Mr. Grant, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Janice, we'll come back to you on the budget, and I'm going to turn the meeting now over to you.
Okay, thank you. Now, as of today, we do have the budgets in the office for public inspection, so people can get a copy. I have some tonight if anybody would like to take one with them. I am going to do basically a brief rundown because we've been through it before. The new amendments to the budget, it is now 4.85 mils. So it did go down a ½ mil from the 1 mil projection of last month. So that's corrected. We did take out, I took out the things that we had, that we were asked to take out. I reviewed everything. Everything balances were okay. As far as the general fund. And we're okay for the other funds, it really didn't change, but I will just reiterate that the trash fund is $223 per unit. Now that is the trash fee, which we still have the same hauler for next year. It's $130 a unit. Delaware County Solid Waste has a fee of $68. Recycling surcharge that we have to pay is an additional $25. So that's why it got to $223. And we do have the sewer, for Unit 1, for the sewers, anybody on this side of Edgemont Avenue is in Zone 1. It's $323 for next year. Zone 2 is that West Forest View Avenue next to Charity Church, $323. Zone 3 is most of the 3rd precinct, $323 a unit. The plant is people in my area, Shepherd, Chandler.
North Gray Street.
Yeah, North Gray Street and the apartments, Stonehill Apartments, $424.69. That does include the loan which is $134 for the plant that we had to take a couple years back. Hilltop is Zone 5, and that's $321. Creekside is Zone 5, it's $321, just so people know where we are, so. And I guess what I'm going to do is, I do have copies if anybody would like to take one home. If anybody has questions, I know Mr. Shively had a question, I think.
Dennis, were you going to, I'm sorry.
No, was I going to go through it? No, because it's in public inspection. Everybody has it. I had extra copies for anybody. Council got it last week. We have it here. I made the corrections. Everything else has stayed the same. We took out the generator and the other items that people had talked about. So, unless somebody has a specific question.
Okay, yeah.
How much of an increase are we going to have on the sewer?
The sewer, Harry, I think you're almost the same. It didn't go up much.
Wait a minute.
He's in Southwest.
He's in Southwest.
Oh, that's right, you're in Southwest. That's right, you are Southwest, same way Vaughan is. I have no idea what Southwest is. I have nothing to do with them. Ashton controls Southwest, we don't. We have nothing to do with the sewers or anything.
Unfortunately, Southwest has yearly increases, it seems
Well,
like,
yeah.
Southwest, they own the lines, they own the process. We don't really have anything to do with them. So, and you kind of remember that from.
That's the new one.
here. Yes.
Hi, Chris Raftovich from 109 East Garrison. I thank you for the work that you've done, but one of my first questions were, are you finished? So you believe you've trimmed everything that you can from the budget?
Yes, we trimmed everything we can.
I do have a question on that, and I apologize for my lack of understanding, but liquid fuel money, is that money that is given to us?
That's money given to us, but we have a limit of what we can do with it. We can't just spend it on anything.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But we brought up about the websites. Are we putting $18,000, not the website, I'm sorry, the traffic lights? Are we putting that money toward the traffic lights?
Yeah, if you look right now under the road maintenance fund, there is item 35.433.300. That is the
What
money
page are
I
you
put
on,
in.
Dennis?
I put in 20,000. Oh, it's in trash fund.
Okay, so
Under
it's gonna cancel out
Road
the-
fund, I'm sorry, road fund section is 35.433.300. I put that in a couple months ago because I knew, number one, it was a priority. And I knew that we had to have the lights here because it's on Edgemont Avenue coming into our street here and Coburn. And I know people that actually were almost killed there. So, I mean, I know how, and that's not the only one, there's been many. And we do not want any fatalities. So I absolutely put a priority on this.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Okay?
agree.
And that's why, when she told me it was going to be between 8,000 and 10,000 an arrow, I said, I have to do this. In good conscience, I have to do this because it's a safety issue, and I don't want anybody, being hurt. Especially when our firemen, some of them live on my end of, like Robbie lives on my street. If he's coming down Coburn and crossing over,
I
because
wasn't
somebody, I
questioning
don't
the
want somebody
validity
being
of that.
hurt.
I agree. It is very important that we do that. What I was not understanding is you have it in the budget, for 18,000, but now you just said you have it somewhere else, so it's canceling
No,
itself
it's
out.
No, it's only in one place.
It's only there.
I'm the one that put it in road so we could spend it.
What page is that?
It's page 1 of the road fund. It should be after trash. It's after the trash expenditure page.
It's a very, very last page in the set.
No, it isn't. It's before the sewer.
So again, I'm
It's
not
only one
understanding, if we're gonna be using liquid fuels funds for that.
That is,
Okay, so let me explain. Liquid
go ahead,
fuels
explain.
money comes in every April.
Okay.
It comes in and it shows up at the top of there as revenue of that fund. Then you get to spend it on different things.
Okay.
So it's only in there as an expense once. It's not in there as $20,000 of revenue. It comes in under the whole blanket, the whole umbrella of liquid fuels allocation.
Okay.
0.85 mil.
So you won't see a revenue
Considerable bump.
Okay, so
line
really,
that
we're not
says
paying,
20,000.
we're not paying that really for the traffic lights then?
You are, you're paying it out of your money that
Out of
is
the
given
liquid
to
fuels
you by
money.
the
Right,
state.
that's what I mean, okay.
It's not coming out of general fund.
Right,
if
that's
you
what,
mean.
that was my question,
It's not coming
okay.
out of general.
oh, I think
Thank
so.
you.
If you look at our history.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, when will you review this again? At the next workshop? Because I have a list of questions that I don't want to take up everyone's time with. It's typed up. I can give it to you. I have questions about how we're approaching our aging infrastructure because the budget
That's in the
process-
newsletter. The newsletter was almost exclusively
I
about
get that, Janice,
infrastructure.
but it doesn't appear to me that we have a strategic plan. We don't have a capital budget that's dedicated simply to those things versus operational, which is everything else. So what is the budgeting process to start putting this, on the forefront so that you have a 10-year strategic plan to look at these things? Because, all these emergencies are going to pop up year after year, and you're not going to have any control over but raising taxes.
There is a capital budget for sanitary sewer. There's a whole fund that's been
And that's in
collecting for
here?
20
Had that for
years
20
now.
years.
It's in here?
Yeah.
That shows how you're offsetting all of these costs?
No, we've been saving
No,
money for 20 years, and it's called
Capital
the
fund.
Infrastructure Capital Fund.
Yeah, there's a capital budget and there's an
And we've
operational
got-
budget. This is your operational budget?
No, capital's in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, we
And
have
there
like
is
How do you
one,
discern the difference?
$916,000.
between capital- How do you discern the difference between capital and operational in this document?
We really don't, because this is not the way we're supposed to be doing this. This budget is the way Harrisburg set it up. It's not the way I would set it up or you would.
Set it up.
Okay?
Well, here,
Basically,
you can
what I
look-
did was I put in as much money as I could in the general fund and in the sewer fund to make sure we're spending money. Now, if you look at the expenditures for Mr. Donaway and his Public Works group, there is tremendous money compared to what there was before, plus the road fund. If you look at the road fund that we just had, most of the money in road fund is going to be used for stormwater and for paving.
Sanitary, storm.
so if you want to look
Yeah, but sewer is for
Sanitary
for
sewer.
sanitary, it's under 8488,750, capital reserve, it
Exactly.
says. It's $324,562 is what it is as of this
Okay.
year. Last year, it was 259,562. It goes up. Everyone is assessed.
What page are you on?
No, toward, because.
Page 2 of the sewer fund
That's like
system
at the back of that.
expenditures budget.
Sewer fund system revenues, then page 2 of that. Okay. Oh,
And
so
then go
yeah.
down to 750.
Capital-
Line that says 750, that's for sanitary. And then
So
I-
we should be, but that's capital reserve / emergency. That's not capital
That's the same,
projects.
no, that's the same thing. It's
That's the same thing. It's
It
just the
is.
way
We
it's
have to-
termed.
That's how we.
It started because of an emergency when Mount Vernon
Yeah,
collapsed
we had a
20
whole
years
street
ago.
collapse from one end to the other. The thing just,
The 100
the
block
whole street
of
disappeared.
Mount Vernon.
Okay.
So right away, they started a capital reserve budget
20
the
years
following year to make sure that that situation doesn't happen again.
And I
And
guess
I'm looking for the storm.
the other
sewer
question
line.
I have, though, is how do you look at, so engineering, for instance, there's line items in almost each and every one of these areas. So is there one large contract that we pay and then we are spreading the wealth across those departments? How do we calculate the number of hours that are allocated to an engineer as part of our budgeting process?
It's based on what is expected to be done and if there's a project, it's the percentage of what she would get.
Basically, what
The same way they all
department, what
do.
department she's working on, just like the
Yeah.
solicitor.
So then, as part of their departmental budget, they're estimating the number of hours they need for engineering,
Yeah, if you
based
look
on
at-
what they want to
Yes.
do
Yeah.
that year?
Yeah, because if you look at the budget, you'll see the solicitor mentioned 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, no, I'm just, because I was calculating the amount of engineering costs in here earlier. 'cause
And
I-
there's 2 different engineers that you have
Well,
to
that's, I
look
didn't know
at.
if there was 2.
Yeah, there's 2 different
Yeah,
people
Mr.
providing
Catania
services.
Mr. Catania does our commercial.
Building, so he's an engineer also, so his costs are under engineer, but it's actually not us, it's a different,
So that brings me to, so if each department has the latitude to determine what they need to do over the course of the next year, how do they prioritize that? Do we have a way of determining what the must-haves are for the borough, what the nice-to-haves are, and what our list items are?
We've always had a list, and Eileen and the Highway Department, Vaughn is basically in charge of it because his department is. We've had a list like what streets are going to be paved, and if you read the newsletter, we emphasize strongly that from now on, and I said this to council this year, before we pave anybody's street, we are going to be televising underneath your street. If there's a problem, we are not paving your street till that underground is corrected. We cannot be spending good money after bad, and we're not going to. We're trying to be, we put in as much money as we could, okay? And every year, probably for the next 3 to 5 years, we're expecting to put the same amount of money in. And that's all we could put away, we have, and we're gonna be spending all of this. We've got in the road fund, there's $167,350 for stormwater and for resurfacing. $167,000 for each of those items, which is the bulk of what we had, because we had, out of a budget of $423,000, we're spending like almost $334 on just resurfacing and stormwater. Stormwater is your big problem. Harrisburg is coming down like gangbusters on you. It's called MS4, and we are really going to be surcharged if we don't get this water under control. And that's why Eileen talks about it all the time. She even had an article in the newsletter. This is really important, and Harrisburg is watching us to make sure we're doing it.
Well,
It's not us, every town.
they're watching everybody.
Everybody's being watched.
It's,
why
you
it
can
was
say
great.
it's Harrisburg, but it's really coming down from the federal government.
Yeah.
That's who's putting the pressure on.
It's a Clean Water Act.
And basically, they're gonna
So
make
we-
you.
And it's all the locals that are being hit.
I can remember Sandy Walton saying to me years ago, there's gonna be a time when the federal government will make you responsible for every drop of water that God sends to your head. And it didn't make any sense at the time. Now, I blew it off. But guess what? He had it right on. He knew exactly what he was talking about.
So then the plans for, I guess, you have everything allocated for this year, but from a strategic plan perspective, what input do you get from, I know honestly, obviously your departments, but one of the things I was wondering if you'd be considering a budget and finance committee that would be made up of also residents who have the credentials to participate. My homeowners association in the Poconos is made up of a combination of board members, AKA our council, and then lay people who have the credentials to participate. Because I think if we had some input and some insight into what you're dealing with, it would make it easier for people to understand when you say you have to raise taxes. I know when I told my poor mother about this, who's 82 years old on a fixed income, she doesn't know where she's getting the money from, even a $500,000. I don't know where she's getting that from. Her Social Security is not going to go up enough to cover that. So,
I think we made that suggestion at the workshop, didn't we?
What's that?
We did.
Have a finance
committee, a budget committee, yes, we did.
I think we're all for it. I think
Yeah,
it's
we're all for it.
unanimous.
We will take that under advisement, and we're not there yet. But.
A lot of people are surprised that we weren't functioning that way. I mean, I was floored by it.
Yeah.
And again, this person here to my right, I would trust her with
Well, she shouldn't have
anything, and she's been up here about every day working on this. It has nothing to do with the current council.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's to set up future councils.
Absolutely.
I wish we had it. I wish we had it prior to this council.
I guess the last thing, and even though I should have probably brought this up earlier, can I get my stop sign put back at the corner of Garrison Road and Edgemont Avenue? It was knocked down, and then somebody stole it, and I reported it to the police department probably 7 months ago. And I just was thinking about this when I was sitting here and you guys were talking about public works.
Gary, can you?
Where's Garrison? You have to tell us how to get there. We'll have to Google it. You say it's the forgotten street, right?
It is. It's we border Parkside, so sometimes people, I think we're on the park.
I know where you're at.
I know where
I know
You said
know
East
where I am, 'cause you
Garrison?
used to live there.
I'm sorry, East Garrison and what?
And Edgemont.
Oh, in Edgemont.
Yeah, it's got knocked down. I think somebody hit it, and-
Quan will make sure the highway crew gets
Yeah,
there.
that would be great.
That's his department.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give her an old one.
No, we have some new ones. We have-
When I was listening to Mr. Helmut's report, you said something about the History Committee or something. We're going to meet the second Thursday?
Let me look at my notes. Mary stole my notes. What day was it?
Third Thursday. I read
January
for
10th?
History.
Excuse me?
Oh, no, second Thursday for history.
The second Thursday of the month.
Yeah, where are you going to meet? In this?
In the council.
Right.
Yeah.
American,
With the historical committee, if,
You're right.
American Legion already meets here the second Thursday.
oh, it was approved. Mary, you sure it's the second Thursday of the month?
No.
Ask
Third
Gary.
Wednesday at 7 for historic.
The third Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, the third Wednesday of the month.
Okay, you're not going to be meeting the second Thursday then?
I'm sorry?
Harry, we'll make room for everybody.
Yeah.
No, it's not the
If
same.
you're in the room, we'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and with historical, we really go anywhere. We've been in the
Okay.
kitchen, we've been in the community room, we've been in here.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to check it because we've been here for quite a few Here's the second Thursday.
We're not going to put you out.
And I will reach out to you prior to that meeting.
Right, okay,
regarding the
yeah,
Hometown
we
Hero.
discussed that the other day about, I know you're looking to get the Hometown Hero posters like you have in Upland, which was a darn good idea, really.
Spring, yeah.
Great idea. And I just think the American Legion, if we could get in that loop, I think we could help you with that also.
Oh, yeah,
Okay?
we're going
All
to
right?
need you.
But thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Anybody else? Tom?
Complex 305 West Brookhaven Road. Just two quick things. Number one, thank you for not wanting to put a bicycle riot on Brookhaven Road. Okay, because if they had to buy property, I have no more property to give. Okay, because the next time they take property from my house, they will be in my steps to go into my house.
I agree.
If you know where my house is,
You know, through the living room.
if you know where my house is, that's how close my steps are to the road. That basically a bicycle path would be in my steps. Second one is the Chester Water Authority construction on Brookhaven Road and their paving. Are they doing more to fix this? Because right now, the section in the 200 to 300 block is an accident waiting to happen. The paving part of it is so rough, your car bounces all over the
It's
place.
like driving on the moon.
If your car gets into that, you literally have to jerk your car to get out of it because there's a lip on both sides of it. I was watching the rains come down off the other side of the road. The rains come down to that part and then travel down through that path. It doesn't even make it to my side of the road. So,
What's bad also is Gray and Brookhaven Road also. It's all cobblestone.
It's all cobblestone in front of Chandler Drive. It's bad. It's I mean, like right now, it's really going. I mean, it's going to be an accident there. If you get, and ours is really weird because it's like this far from the yellow line, so you either have to ride on the yellow line and hope you don't get hit, or ride all the way over here and hope there's no parked cars.
Right.
It's really bad with that. So if we could have somebody look, I know we're getting into bad season for fixing
I
stuff.
can't agree with you more. It's pretty bad.
I'll send an email to Chester
Yeah, I mean, we
Water.
can reach out.
PennDOT
Okay.
controls that project, so, but I'd rather not turn them into PennDOT if I can help it, so.
Trust me, it's fine.
We'll see if we can
And
get it done locally.
Just real quick thing, Mayor did not bring it up. The last two Tuesday nights, Brookhaven Road has been the police alley of Delaware County. Thank you for that. With getting lots and lots of speeders going up and down the road. See, I told you they were there.
Well, just so everybody knows, it wasn't a speed trap whatsoever. It was a
Right.
buckle-up program purposely for buckling up people, but people were stopped and we had,
Oh, yeah.
well, as long as we keep getting the buckle-up program and paying for it and all that, we can put the officers out there. But we've got speeders, we got DUIs, we got just about everything.
The one Tuesday night, my living room looked like a disco room with all the police lights going off in it. It was strange. Okay, thanks.
Disco, you're showing your age, you know. I remember going to those.
You probably went to pulsations too, didn't you?
Yeah. I knew he was going to bring that up.
Okay, is there anybody else? Sir.
One more comment.
Okay.
All right.
Larry Chidley, 421 Sir Galahad Drive. Just want to express my thanks and gratitude for all of you contending with these issues and problems and whatever comes up in the borough of Brookhaven. I'm sure most of us appreciate your efforts, and I know you are seeking the best solutions. Thanks very much, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Larry.
You get that on the record, Mary? Mary, is that on the record?
This is a notable event.
Do we get that on the video?
We might need a plaque.
Yes, actually. Anybody else? How about from the council? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
Eagles are
Go Eagles, they're winning.
Oh, it already started.
Yeah, I'm watching the game while the
Probably just jinxed us.